Right now, though, we're going to talk to Grant Harrold, former Royal Butler, because Tatler magazine, which is, of course, the posh people's magazine, has published a new guide on how to be posh, or in their words, upper class, because apparently the word posh means that you are not upper class if you use it. Grant, a very good afternoon to you and welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. What a load of nonsense.
It really is rubbish, isn't it? See, I've always said you can move from working class to middle class. You can even go the other way from middle class to working class, but you cannot become upper class. There's no way.
Do you know, about a year ago we had this thing about all the different class systems,
Yes.
and now there's this class and that class and this class, and why complicate things? It's like this list. I mean, I've been looking at it, and I just don't get it. One of the things it says to be upper class, it's got the north.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Does that mean we have shares in chalets in Greenland?
I guess you go to the north of England as opposed to
I
not
see.
going.
Okay.
It also
I
says
see.
having a job, which rules out, without wishing to defend anyone, most of the royal family, doesn't it?
Well, this is I did think this when they said about having a job. Well, technically, the job they always do is a job. But
Yes.
as you said, having a job, I don't get that. And I mean, if you're talking about the aristocracy, a lot of them, their work is the estates that they run, and they've got households of staff of hundreds. So I don't get it. And then I was reading down, we've got Yorkshire tea. Well, I like tea, so I haven't got a problem with that. But then again, in Yorkshire tea, it's normally an Assam or an Earl Grey.
I would have thought English breakfast would have made the cut as well.
That's fine for breakfast. And Yorkshire tea, you could have Yorkshire tea in the morning as well, so there's nothing wrong with Yorkshire tea. I just know what these kind of homes have got. And fried eggs?
Yes.
What has fried eggs got to do with it?
I know. What about the likes of champagne? It says you have to ditch most white wine and just have champagne. I mean, that's not going to be very good for you for a start.
This is going to be, well, exactly. I mean, I know that the aristocracy, not just the aristocracy, a lot of people, I like champagne. A lot of people like champagne. But white wines, I mean, if you go to someone's home, you can't say, oh, you've got white wine, that means you're not upper class.
Right.
It's crazy.
It really is.
Crazy.
Also, I would have thought that the whole point of the upper class is that it doesn't really change very much. I mean, if you go to an old sort of stately home, they tend to have the same things. There's a couple of barbers hanging up. There's some, some rather trendy-looking and expensive Wellington boots. There's a Labrador eventually somewhere. There's a few pheasant hanging about. There's a big sort of farmhouse wooden table in the kitchen. There's an Arga.
Exactly. There is a stereotype. Of course, there's a stereotype, but it's what we've all seen through documentaries, television programs. It's what I've witnessed myself.
Yes.
And it just seems, and just I've got to add, under the non-upper class, this makes me laugh, is we've got things like, British Airways, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Windsor. Windsor is non-upper class.
Yeah, I mean, is that because of Elton John or something?
Well, I'm not too sure. I'm a bit confused at that, but let's not tell the royal family. Let's keep that one quiet. iPads, and dare I say they've even got Tinder down here. So I don't quite know how they've come up with this. And
they've also got the Soho farmhouse, which is apparently where Meghan Markle had her hen do.
Well,
I suspect there's people at Tatler who don't think Meghan Markle is upper class.
Well, possibly. Maybe that's where it all came from. And the other thing that kind of annoyed me is they're saying that the word posh is no longer upper class. Well, the word posh, it's a word that we've always used, but they probably don't even know what it actually means, the word posh.
Is it person of something or other?
No, it's port out, stab at home. It's from the days of the
yes,
old
I think you've
cruise
told
liners.
me that. Yeah, that's right.
So that's what it's all about. So I don't really understand how they've come up with this. It's obviously a little bit of a PR thing.
Maybe Tatler's circulation is fading because people don't actually care about classes as much as they used to.
The posh people are not reading maybe Tatler anymore. Maybe that's the problem. So they're trying to get the new.
As far as I know, the Tatler magazine was a sort of finishing school for people who wanted to end up with jobs in the Daily Mail features department.
Well, I must confess, I haven't actually read it, and I remember last year there was another piece of etiquette advice where they said that when you meet a duchess, you call her duchess, and I remember kind of putting on social media, we're not addressing a dog. A duchess, the correct term is your grace.
Yes.
So maybe they need somebody like me kind of helping them when they release these kind of lists and things. It's just very frustrating because when you read something like that, it doesn't make sense.
I was at a party once where a rather junior member of the royal family asked somebody to address them as Your Royal Highness.
Really?
And he was very much given short shrift and told by the person that I was with, is that a dog?
Yes, and it's not corgis. I'll quickly add.
It sounds like a corgi.
It's not the corgis. I've got miniature dachshunds, so I'm not quite got the corgis.
Okay.
Even though the Queen's got mix of dachshunds and corgis, but it's not the corgis.
Now you must tell me, Grant, because I'm sure you could tell me whether you've entered a home of somebody that you've had to go to for some kind of job that you were doing, and you've discovered immediately that they've got stuff which would denote them as not upper class.
Well, I mean, you'll go to sometimes to a home and you'll see things, and it's what you said earlier on. You go into certain homes and you see different things around, and you think these people have old money. Let's say old money. And you go to other homes and you'll see the new money, and it's kind of things that you'll go into an older home and you'll see. Let's, for example, you might say a Gainsborough or something on the wall. You go into new money, you're going to have a money. Not that old money doesn't appreciate that kind of art.
Yeah.
It's this telltale signs, the way they dress.
There are. And the way they speak. I mean, I went down to Devon this summer, right, for a week's holiday with the family, and we rented a cottage in the grounds of what can only be described as a sort of miniature castle, which was owned by Lord and Lady Muck from the local, whatever it was in Devon. And they were lovely people. We met them. It turned out this was their smaller home, and the second home was actually something that looked a bit more like the house in Downton Abbey, somewhere down, nearer the coast. And they would go there every day to sort of, because they had a tea room there that they had to run, and they actually worked quite hard. But they were they were terribly sort of stereotypically what I would call upper class, upper crust, old money posh.
Old money.
And they were lovely. And
that's the secret, the old money. And I'm lucky enough not only to work in the industry, but to have many friends, if you like, that old money. And they are absolute ladies and gentlemen. They're wonderful to be around. They've got great humour. They're extremely kind. This thing about how they are with money. They're extremely kind. This new money, I'm not saying they're not kind and they're not good with money. It's just very different. And I've also noticed from a staff point of view, the loyalty around old money and new money is very different. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
You see people that will go and work for, let's say, the Royal Family or similar, and be with them for years. You get the new money, and people tend to only stay for a year or two. And they've said to me it's because they don't know how to behave like traditional old money, which is interesting. It's an interesting subject.
And I mean, do you think that there is a move away from? I mean, there's always going to be the sort of the upper crust and the posh where you could never move into, because it's not really open for change, is it?
It's not, but then again, it has changed. And the one thing that I will agree that I've read in different people have commented on changing times. It has changed and it has to adapt. And of course, the biggest example was the royal wedding this year of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, which is 20 years ago. You would never have dreamt a wedding like that, where they have to change. And so people do marry into these kind of families from any background. You don't have to have gone to private school. You don't have to have got all the kind of money to marry into these families. It's very different. But the people that do marry into them, obviously they want to then be like them and kind of act and behave to an extent. And so they're trying to keep up those traditions, but they are bringing their own uniqueness to it, which I think is great. That's what I like about this wedding between Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, dare I say, to keep the royal family modernised. I think it's really important.
What do you make of all these rumours of a rift between her and Kate Middleton?
I never believe any of that.
Really?
Kind of thing. Oh no! I mean, even when I worked for them, you heard all these
loyal to the end.
Oh, and you'd read these kind of things, and you think, where did they get it from? I mean, it's as I said, I've been in there. When I worked for them, you used to pick up headlines.
Yeah.
And you'd read the most extraordinary things, and you think, where did they get it from?
Well, I used to think that until they got it right on Princess Diana. And Andrew Morton and I actually know each other quite well. And I used to say to him, how the hell did you know all this? And he wouldn't ever tell me. But it turns out that he was getting it from her.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, you can't argue with that, can you?
You really can't. You absolutely can't.
Straight from the source.
Watch this space is what I can say.
Absolutely.
Grant, thank you very much indeed. Grant Harrold, former royal butler. Of course, he's going to be loyal to the royal family because that's his job.